Good morning. It is Monday, July 6th, 2020, and I am back here from bed, with Bed Talk number 76. And the phrase I want to plant here at the beginning for you is this: it's not real unless and until it's real. It's not real unless and until it's real. I want to share a story with you. So a good friend of mine, a fellow speaker, is also involved in Toastmasters. If you've been involved in Toastmasters, you know about speech contests. If not, it goes like this. A couple times a year, they have speech contests, and one is called the International Speech Contest. And you have a contest at your club level. And then, if I got this right, then you go to the area, then you go to the division, then the district, and then the regional. And whoever wins the region goes to the World Championship of Speaking. And it's a big deal. And my friends entered in this contest a number of times over the years, and he was really committed. He wanted to go to the Worlds this year. And he won at the club level. He won at the area level. He won at the division and district level. And then he's set for the regional. And he gives, by his experience, the best speech he's ever given. Not just the best Toastmaster speech, but in all the hundreds and maybe even over 1,000 speeches he's given, he said, this is the best speech I've ever given. He said, I nailed it. And then he tells me that in sitting there waiting for the results, when they announce third place, they do it in reverse order, he's not number 3. He gets really excited. And then they announce number 2 and it's not him. And he fully believes he's number 1. He was that good. And he said, I started crying, and they didn't call my name. The fact is, he didn't even finish in the top 3 of this contest. And he was devastated. You see, you don't get any feedback, you don't get the results, you don't find out what happened. He just knew he didn't win. He didn't even finish in the top 3. He said he was devastated. In fact, he said he went in about a week-long funk, verging on depression, questioning whether he really was a speaker at all, even though he's been doing it for, I'm going to guess, 20 years or more as a professional, getting paid thousands of dollars for his speeches, sometimes $10,000 a speech. And they said he wasn't good enough. And he said, I really started to question my whole business, my whole career. I was devastated. And then he gets a phone call a couple of weeks later from someone associated with Toastmasters who makes an offhand comment. I'm not sure whether they're supposed to or not. I don't think they share a lot of results. But the comment was this. He said, what a shame that you got disqualified. What a shame that you got disqualified. And apparently it had to do, he had a lot of physical movement during the speech, and it was being videotaped, and he did this. He's very physically animated, and he ducked to demonstrate something and went out of the video screen and was disqualified. Now, small fact, he wasn't told that that would happen, that he would be disqualified. But the main point here is he spent a week of his life not only in a dark place, probably in a space of depression, but he questioned his whole business, his whole career, everything he had been building over something that wasn't real. Because what he had concluded was he didn't win. He wasn't even in the top 3 because he wasn't good enough. But that wasn't true. That wasn't real. Because what it turns out, he was disqualified. It seemed to me when I heard the story, it's a powerful lesson about the ways that we make things real when they're not, or certainly before we know if they are. So I want you to think about for yourself, what are you doing? What are you making real before it's real? Because I know there's a lot of that happening right now, especially during this pandemic. Yes, we got to make tough decisions. Yes, we got to do some things differently in this time, but none of us know the future. And I know there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people who are making things real today that aren't real yet and may never be real. It's a form of time travel. Fear is a great example of that. I fear something's going to happen, but I not only fear it might happen, I basically start acting as if it has happened, even if it's in the future. And so often in our lives, just like with my friend, we look at some events and we put meaning on it before we have the information. Think about this simple idea, because I've been guilty of it a couple months ago. Think about this. You get a phone call from someone, they leave a voicemail, not sure what it's about, but you have a potential issue with that person. And you start making up this whole story in your head about why they're calling, what they're going to say, what does it mean? And you start thinking about, how do I prepare for this? How do I respond? And then it turns out that's not what they were calling about. Or the message you were concerned about they didn't share, or the issue wasn't even brought up. You see, we're brilliant at it. We make things real before they're real. And it causes stress, it causes uncertainty, it causes fear, sometimes it causes sadness. The bottom line is, it lessens our experience of that day, of that moment. We give energy to something that's not yet real. I'll be truthful with you. My mom was famous at that. She would get all upset about something that hadn't happened yet because it might happen. She made it real before it was real. So think about it every day. You've probably done it in the last week. That's how prevalent this mindset is, this approach. The key is to catch ourselves and let it go and basically say, I'm not going to conclude anything about it. I'm not going to assume anything about it. I'm certainly not going to give energy and emotion to it unless and until it's real. Because it's not real unless and until it is real. It's not real unless and until it's real. Think about it. I'd love to hear your comments. Share an example where you've done that or experienced that recently. I know it'll help some other folks get through some times where they're struggling with the same thing. So that's the message for the day. It's not real unless and until it is real. I thank my friend for giving me permission to share that story with you. And as always, keep taking care of yourself and those you care about. And by all means, stay connected. And I'll see you tomorrow.